I'm John Hirsch from Clearfield Farm. We're in Granville, Vermont, and my wife Melissa and I farm certified organic vegetables and some grain. So this year we'll grow about 20 acres of vegetables, maybe a little less, maybe like 18 acres of vegetables, and we'll do maybe 30 in grain and then another 20 in cover crops, something like that. So farm like 75, 77 acres.
I'm your host, Andy Chamberlain, and I take you behind the scenes with growers who share their strategy for achieving the triple bottom line of sustainability. These interviews unravel how they're building their business to balance success across people, profits, and our planet. One ask I have for you is if you can leave a comment or write a review. There's a feature enabled right now called Fan Mail, so you can send a message via text to the podcast right from the link in the description. These come through as anonymous, so if you want to be known or would like me to reply, let me know who you are in the message. Give it a whirl, it's quick, easy, and free, and I'd love to hear from you. Today's episode comes to you from Granville, Vermont, where we visit with John Hirsch of Clearfield Farm. With over 10 years under his belt, he's refined his farm business to be lean on labor and focused in scope, as his primary crops are wholesale carrots and potatoes. He's also excited to be getting into grain and doing more intensive rotations with cover crops. We start off the episode with a look at his new roots harvester, hop in the truck to check out the farm fields, before digging deeper into his motivations and visions for his farming career later on in the episode. Thanks for listening.
Potatoes and carrots.
Pretty much.
Anything else?
Doing some grain.
Yeah. Grain.
Quite a bit of grain. The grain enterprise is mostly centered around doing our own cover crop seed, like harvesting our own cover crop seed. We have a bunch of wheat that we're probably going to just send to an elevator on a tractor trailer because that land that it's growing on isn't certified organic at this point. So we have a bunch of land that's not certified organic. Land that we just bought, so we bought another 23-ish acres of farmland. And then this field over here, this is 16, that's not certified organic yet. So
How many acres are you managing?
Total this year we'll hit 77 acres.
Whoa. That's big for Vermont.
Well, okay.
And how much of that's grain?
This 16 acres is all cover crop.
Okay.
Not getting harvested. It's oats and peas and whatever other.
Feeding soil.
It's feeding the soil. This down here is grain. That's 23 acres. That's not organic. So I have to talk to NOFA about how we can do this exactly because I don't want to do the split farm, but I think we might have to just be able to sell it. Then we've got a couple acres that we rent on top of the mountain over there that I'm going to try to expand that, but the mountain land around here is like rocks, the size of like I could fit, a few rocks in this dump truck over here. And at a certain point when you're going up, well, I have to go up from here. Every time I go up and I break something, it's like, is this worth it, or should my risk management be like, I know which job I'm going to work on a flood year? Because right now it's like, well, I got a couple acres up there. If there's a flood year, I can shield myself from some risk. But there was a conversation a while ago about how, is it better to run on marginal land that's reliable or great land that's unreliable? I don't know. I don't know the answer. Yeah, because it does cost a lot of money to farm challenging ground.
How far away is that?
It takes me like maybe 20 minutes to get there on a tractor.
Yeah.
Realistically, it's 2 miles maybe. 2 miles. It takes me maybe, I don't know, not even 10 minutes to get there with my truck. So I try to, if I'm doing like cultivating up there, I try to just trailer the tractors, and then I can I can
Just to save some time.
yeah, and I can cultivate and be back home. I can do the whole field. Like last year we grew carrots up there. And I was able to cultivate the whole field and be home within 2 hours, you know, like leave with the tractor, cultivate, hook it back up, come back down.
Yeah.
You know, so there are some things but I was breaking stuff every single time. And I picked rocks.
So what kind of things is breaking? The cultivation tools? Or?
Yeah, a lot of shear bolts, I've got there's like the armrest of this tractor just filled with shear bolts. And I'm just constantly running through all of them. And I got to go to the hardware store and pick up more. And yeah, what else did I break? I broke did you see the carrot harvester?
Right after the potato harvester.
Here, let's go look at the carrot
after you
harvester.
got it.
I'm in cleanup mode, so I had some junk in front of it, but I moved it out just in case you wanted to see it.
Well, yeah, I'm here just to see what you want to show me.
Well, what I really want to show you is some of the new land that we just bought, because I don't think you've seen it yet, and I'm pretty pumped on it.
I've been here, and then I think we went across the street one time when you were picking cucumbers.
Oh yeah! Oh man, that was a while ago.
That was a while ago. Whoa, this is.
Look at this unit.
This is beautiful.
Oh yeah, this is a Univerco mini veg.
I did not know anybody with one of these yet.
Yep.
Now I do.
Here she blows. So
that's a nice unit.
I have them doing like a prototype. Have you ever seen at Jericho Settlers? They've got the potato head that attaches to their similar model. Theirs is an Asa lift.
Yeah. I took some video of them picking up carrots, but I did not see the potato head for it.
Yep. I watched a bunch of videos of them online, and really the deciding what made me decide on this as opposed to an Asa lift is they're made like a couple of 100 miles from here.
Right, yeah, they're just over the border.
Right, and so actually this piece here, so this is the share that, you know, kind of goes underneath the row of carrots or whatever.
Yeah, the digger piece.
This is the digger piece.
The lifter.
They didn't ship the machine with that. So the tractor trailer kits here, I actually had a buddy of mine get, you know, because you got to get 2 tractors, one on each side of it, and pick it up so that the trailer can drive out from underneath it.
Okay, yeah.
And we get the whole thing set up, and I'm looking at it like, man, how are the roots going to get lifted out of the ground? Like I'm just going to.
Soil's not that loose.
Yeah, I'm just going to end up yanking all the tops off.
Yeah.
And so I look through the pictures of it. I'm like, oh, that thing's missing. So I contact my sales guy, and he's like, we can get you that, but we're about to close for 2 weeks and no one's going to be there. So you're going to have to wait and I had people like waiting for the next week for carrots. I had told everybody, like, I got this great harvester coming.
Yeah.
It's not going to be an issue at all.
No problem, yeah.
No.
Yikes.
And then, yeah, so.
So could you drive up to get it?
Well, the president of the company, I'll just say, the president of the company drove to a gas station in Alburg to meet me with that piece and 2 crispy $100 American bills from like 1995. And he goes, take these. It's like, no. He goes, no, seriously, take it. So now we have a couple of from Canada crispy, 1995 $100 bills in the house as like a, remembering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So great customer service.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah, they're really willing to help with whatever you want, like within reason, obviously.
Yeah.
And they built.
They were responsive, which is the
They're very
important part.
responsive, yeah. And they built a head for this for potatoes, which is like a prototype for them, but they have a ton of interest since we've asked them to build it.
So how does that work? Is that a whole like chain?
You have
belt?
to. Yeah. It's a single row digger.
Yeah.
It goes on, not there actually, right here. So
maybe I did see that over at Mark's.
He has one.
Yep, yeah.
And that's kind of where I got the idea.
Fine.
Yeah. And what I had said to Univerco was, Asa Lift offers this. Do you guys think you could do something similar? And what's interesting about that is that I contacted Acelift and Univerco. Acelift's computers and phones were down for 3 weeks.
Whoa.
When I contacted them. And I contacted Univerco at the same time, and Univerco got back to me. I was like, you know, I'm gonna let this progress as it may.
Yeah, yeah, well.
And it's
some things just work out that way.
Exactly, yeah. So, and I've tried to let stuff like that happen more. You know, like the way things are gonna be. You know, it's.
Maybe the Acelift would have been cheaper, but.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact that if you need a part or support, it's like you said, it's a couple hours north.
Exactly. You know? Yep. So that is really what sold me on this. I love that, you know, obviously it's Canada, but it's so regional to us. Like, when are you ever going to find something like this built within a few hours of you?
Right.
You know, it's just like unheard of.
It's a quality unit,
Oh
too.
my God. And this thing is beefy.
Yep.
It carries its own bin with its own hydraulics. You know, you fill up a bin, you drop it, you pick up a new one. You don't even leave the seat.
Yeah.
You know, it's just amazing. So since we asked them to do the potato head, and they, you know, have since found more customers that want that for this machine, they've asked us for like other things. Like, we are doing a daikon radish trial for them for a grower in California.
Oh, because you're close by.
Because we're close by, and because you know, we're willing to do like experimental stuff with them. So they were like, yeah, let's just ask. It's like, you know,
it goes both ways.
Exactly. Yeah. So I like what we've built, you know, together as like a business relationship too. So I got nothing but good things to say about them.
Explain that contraption.
That's the greens topper.
Okay.
So
it like pinches the tops off?
Yeah.
Okay.
And these rotate like this.
Yeah.
Which makes the blades go like this, kind of. Does that make sense? They kind of do like this sort of shape.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like as these spin,
they oscillate and lift.
Yeah, the next one, like these next ones come up. Yeah, so they're not actually chopping. It's just pinching. They're pinching the greens off. So you have to pick up the carrots with maybe like, I think the manual says 4 to 6 inches from the crown of the root. You know what I'm saying? So like you pick it up with the belts, so that the carrots like.
Oh, they need to hang a certain amount.
Yeah, and that you have to adjust it on the fly. So the carrots from this belt, they'll hang down. You know, like the tops of the carrots will hang down about here. Oh, I broke one of these. So this piece that holds these, so these rotate like this to keep the greens from plugging up.
Pick the tops up.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it gets pinched by the belt.
Yep. And this share right here actually has a broken shear bolt in it. That's why it's sitting like this.
Shear bolts.
Yeah, you know, that happened and I was like, okay, I'm done now. That's it for me for this season, and I parked it. Yeah, but love it. Great machine. We'll start harvesting in July with it, with spring seeded carrots. So
do you have the potato head yet, or
They made it.
Okay.
And we went and looked at it. We are gonna test it out on a Quebecois potato field in August. This guy Gabriel, who's part of Deep Root. I called him. I was like, "Hey, what do you think about letting us?" And he said, "Absolutely, it's not a problem at all." Yeah. So we're gonna go up there, run it on a couple of 100 feet a row, make sure it doesn't need any tweaks before it crosses the border.
Yeah. A little test run before you
exactly. Yeah.
Get down here and
right. And I was saying to because I've been working with like their engineers, the sales guys and whatnot, and I was saying, you know, I don't mind getting it here and doing a little fab work here if it needs it. And they were pretty adamant against that. Like, no, absolutely not. no
Don't
way.
screw with our machine.
Yeah.
Let us know what breaks.
Yeah,
and
yeah, exactly.
We'll help you out. Yeah.
But yeah, so this broke. That holds this at this angle, and those are like $300 each. So it doesn't take long working in a real rocky field to for you to lose money.
Got to be real careful to keep the tips out of the stones.
Yeah. Yep.
So what's a ballpark price on one of these?
As it sits here, it's 55 grand.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah. With the head, with the potato head, they want an extra 40 for that.
cool.
But this is all on a grant.
Okay.
So
Well, that is half the machine essentially.
it's half the machine. It's half the cost of the machine.
More
yeah.
than, because the head is the whole
Yeah.
side.
Yep.
The rest is the frame, the conveyor,
Yep.
essentially.
we did a factory tour there, Melissa and I, and they've got these barrel washers, in various stages of assembly, just like as far as the eye can see.
Wow.
It's like they're just selling them like hotcakes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that and big carrot harvesters, like multi-row ones with big booms that fill up a potato truck kind of size.
Yeah, this is a tiny unit compared to.
This is the smallest one they make.
Right.
And even looking at it, it's like, this is kind of a big machine. It's like almost 15 feet wide. Getting it up and down the road is a little bit of a challenge sometimes.
So this runs well off your John Deere?
It says 70 horsepower minimum, but I ran it all season, and that's 66 horsepower.
That's a 4066?
Yeah, it's a 4066, yep. And what's really nice about the 4066M is that it's the biggest engine with a hydrostatic transmission
Yep.
that you can get in essentially the small frame
Right,
size.
it's still a compact tractor.
It's still, yeah. But it's big enough, this is made to hook up on a 3-point hitch, but you're not supposed to pick the unit up. Do you know what I'm saying? You just hook it on and you just drive with it on the ground.
Will that tractor lift it?
It'll almost lift it.
Sketchily.
It won't really pick up the tires off the ground.
Oh, this is a pretty heavy unit.
Oh, this thing's got to weigh 6,000 pounds. Yeah. But yeah, love it. Honestly, love the progression that our farm has made over the past few years, because this was always my dream, is just to do everything with machines.
Right.
I think we had talked about this. Like when I got into farming, I wanted to do corn and beans.
Yeah, in Vermont.
Right, yeah. Well, this is when we were in Pennsylvania.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I wanted to do corn and beans. I wanted to be, traditional farmer. And without a lot of land, you just can't. Without a lot of land and a lot of money, you can't.
Yep.
So, kind of put it on the back burner and got into vegetables just to do something in ag. And I'm just jazzed. We got the combine, we got this. So just something to be said about living uncomfortably for a while you get to where you really want to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the business definitely had to be very uncomfortable for a while, which, we could have done it farmers market, selling to small grocery stores, trying to do another CSA thing, but.
You started with a CSA thing in Pennsylvania, right?
We did like home delivery for a bit, but it was mostly farmers market, kind of.
Farmers market.
It was definitely a farmers market.
When did you start farming? When did you start that?
Well, I worked for somebody in 2013 that did like very retail based, but not very well managed. So I'd learned a lot of bad stuff in 2013. 2014, Melissa and I started on our own on my parents' land. 2015, my parents said they wanted to sell, and they couldn't sell without operating farm on it. Yeah, they got that. I don't even know where they got that information, but they were like, "You gotta, this is gonna be it. So you guys gotta finish up." So we finished up in October. Started applying to jobs all over the place. The only place that we got any calls back was Central Vermont, Montpelier, actually. And we would have gone anywhere, but it was just like everything was kind of guiding us to central Vermont. So, and then when we finally started, making moves to move here, we talked to somebody at UVM about the kind of farm we were looking to get, and shoestring budget. We wanted the laundry list of stuff we wanted, because my parents, they had to get out of their property. It was just they couldn't keep up with it anymore. It was just too expensive. So we didn't necessarily have like financial help to do anything. So we were like, we want 20 acres of land, 20 acres of tillable land, a house to live in. We'd like to do it for 150 grand. And everybody was like, you're crazy. And then somebody at UVM was like, you'll never find that. The only place I've seen near that was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was this place. He's like, you're just never gonna find it. So then, we waited around. We checked out a couple of different places, and this one came back on the market. And we went to the land trust, and we're like, we want it. And they're like, why don't you look around for some other places? They were having trouble like keeping tenants in this place, because that was back when the land trust would buy properties rather than connecting the next generation with who wanted to sell it. So they've since gotten completely out of buying properties. They don't do it anymore.
Right.
But this was one of like the first land trust properties in like the 90s or something. So
had some legacy to it.
Yeah, but it's just kind of a interesting full circle thing. Like I got my job I was in Middlesex. That I got that job while I was picking vegetables at my parents' place. Like I answered the phone and they're like, "We'd like to offer you the job." I was like, I forget what I was picking. Sick. It's awesome. Melissa got a job bartending at Positive Pie.
Yeah.
With no bartending experience. Vermont's great. This is amazing. We were like 24.
Yeah.
25. Yeah. So. And now we've got a combine and a carrot harvester. I can do the majority of the business from the tractor seat.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Don't want to get choked up. Damn, man. It's awesome. Just trying to be grateful. And with a kid coming too, it's like you gotta,
That changes perspectives, I think.
Totally.
That's a chapter change for any family. And
oh yeah.
You look at your hours you're putting into whatever it be, and you think of life a little differently, I guess, trying to dedicate some family time, not just work time.
Yep.
I mean, you've always been, you're a hard worker, you're building your business, that's what you're passionate about, but family changes a bit, so.
Totally, yeah. Well, it's a little windy.
Yeah, it is.
You want to hop in the truck?
Sure. What year is this truck?
It's 83. Yeah, so that brown truck is an 85. That was my first truck I bought myself. This is a little older, but it's in some respects better shape. I am like daily driving this thing anymore. I hauled all my seed potatoes in it from Williamstown the other day.
What model is this?
This is a F350.
350, okay.
Yeah. Yep. F350, 6.9 diesel, 4-speed manual. Got a mechanical PTO dump, which is nice. It's a serious farm truck. Yeah, so that tilt patch, that's our spring carrots. It's like an acre. And then going to be some of the potatoes. Planting buckwheat there for grain. And then now down here, this is our new land from like this line right here. This is all new. So it's all in wheat right now. Some of it's wet. But honestly, when you get offered to buy farmland anymore, I just feel like you can't say no, you know what I mean? To some extent. And we're working for it. Like, you know, the bank is gonna own us for a bit. But
how long is that note?
Like 30. Well, so it's half through Vita and half through Farm Service Agency. Okay. So it's gonna be 20 through Vita, which is Vermont Economic Development Authority, or like VAC, Vermont Ag Credit Corporation. Here, I'll pull into our little this place here has like a little chunk out of the land, but the land goes like up the mountain. So these people do like a what do you call this? Like a hip camp. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, so they have people that come and set up campers and stuff. It's always rotating, so there's somebody here now. So I don't want to mess with them too bad. But yeah, it's just like a cool, we can get out and kind of take a peek. Yeah, it's cool view of the house.
Yeah, it is.
You know, from here and
looking up the valley.
Yeah. So now, you know, leave these people alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd blast right past them in a combine, but you know, just like standing out here.
Yeah. It's one thing when you're working. It's another thing when you're just.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we're just loitering right now.
Yeah, just disturbing their dog.
Right. But yeah, we can. I'll show you the. We'll go up into this field, and we got a guy setting up beehives right now.
Nice.
So we'll go check that out. It's kind of a cool vantage point because it's our only upland field, like in the whole home farm area.
So are you prone to flooding in these fields?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So my risk management lately has just been, how do I tighten up the operation?
Yeah.
You know, how do I spend less? I know it's not everybody's cup of tea.
You already seem pretty lean.
Well, it's like the potatoes are expensive to grow.
Yeah.
You know, it's in terms of like your seed cost per acre. Like we're gonna plant 8 or 9 acres of specialty potatoes, and I think we'll have like, what is that? $3,500 an acre, $3,000 an acre, something like that.
So yeah.
So it's like quite an expense. And you know, honestly, we could even probably spend a little more.
Yeah.
And we'll go and hop into this field quick. Yeah. So this they call the 15-acre field. Right? Yeah. I don't know where they got that from. I think it's only 12 acres. It's just like the funny old, you know,
15
old time.
From guardrail to wood edge. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. Now we have the riparian buffer.
Yeah.
That the Japanese knotweed just loves it.
Yeah.
Oh, it loves it. Yeah. But this little path right here, we've got a little beach down on the river there. Yeah. Not nice when it's 42 degrees and windy.
Yeah, not today, but
you know, when it's 80, 90 degrees.
Deep enough to get in it, cool down.
Yep. Yeah, we'll come up to this spot where this guy's the guy that's putting in beehives has beehives at Old Road Farm too.
Okay.
And he's a local mechanic who's getting into bees. Well, he's been into bees for a while, but you can tell it's upland because of these rocks.
Yep. Yeah, good old Vermont stony wall here.
Oh yeah. I I went to a. Oh. Guess I didn't shut that all the way.
The door flew open.
Oh yeah. I went to a. Oh yeah, see that carrot harvester right there?
Oh yeah.
It's actually Pooh Sprague's old carrot harvester. Yeah, we can get out and look over here. Yeah, that thing is actually almost an operational shape, but I found out that I was getting the new carrot harvester. It's like, well, I think I'm gonna stop working on this one.
Yeah.
But it's got, it's fully functional. The only thing that's held up on it is the elevator belt needs to be stitched back together. It's really nice having just one tractor and one piece of equipment in the field rather than this takes a tractor hooked onto it and a truck running alongside it.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm sure I could figure out a way to
make a platform to hold a thing.
Exactly,
that,
but it's like.
So do you think you're going to keep that as a backup or a setup to do something special?
I think I might set it up to do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just have it in case we have the other one set up for potatoes.
Yeah, right.
And then not have to switch back and forth.
Yeah.
But that's a this next winter project.
Yeah, no, that's probably a good idea to have one set up for one thing.
I said to Melissa, like, do you think I should sell it? She's like, absolutely not. Well,
it's a sunk cost now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he essentially gave it to me. It wasn't running. I put quite a bit into it.
Yeah.
Looks
to be in decent shape still.
It's not too bad. Yeah. The only thing is with this, it's a lot of, little electronic doodads on it, which I try to stay away from that kind of stuff.
Right. There's a lot of
little clicky things on there. Yeah. But yeah, this is the beehive setup.
Yeah, this will be a nice spot for
that.
And then what are you going to have in this field?
This is going to be carrots up here.
Yeah.
Carrots here, carrots over there, potatoes in the long section down there, and then one other spot of potatoes in this field across the river here. But pretty neat vantage point because we really don't have too much land that's up high like this,
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool spot.
Gentle rolling, but not real slope too bad.
Yep. And borrowing Old Road Farms rock picker. So we still got it over by the that brown truck over there. Yeah, so I'm gonna pick rocks out of here within the next couple. I mean, really, as soon as it dries out a little bit, got a crazy amount of rain.
Yeah, we did.
Where's it all coming from?
Does that rock picker have a sweet spot or a limit
for size?
Yeah. Like I see
that
some
one
stuff that's
one I might need to do by hand.
Almost 2 feet across here.
Yeah, that one.
But most of these are
like this,
smaller than a boot.
This is like ideal size.
Softballs.
These are ideal size. Yeah.
Less than a foot.
And honestly, we picked carrots out of that field up on top of the mountain around rocks that were, I got a lot of them out, but it's almost like.
Yeah, your poor equipment.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, man, am I ever gonna recover financially from farming this field up here? Yeah, I mean, it is. It depends what kind of crops you're growing. So I'm gonna do orange carrots on this side and rainbow over there where that like lime green cover crop is right now. Yeah. So I'm trying 2 different ways. This, I let there was winter rye in here and I let it grow quite a bit taller before I plowed it in. That I plowed in early and then I immediately seeded it to oats and peas. And I kind of want to see the difference, like in, I think that's going to make the carrots jump a little more, like they're going to grow a little faster than this, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, in theory the peas should give a little extra nitrogen in there. So.
But this did have like clover and stuff. Like both sides had clover and rye. But yeah, that's all a learning experience. I don't know. I think every year is a learning experience. Yeah, look at that thing.
Big.
You want to take that home? You guys have rocks,
right?
right?
I need that for riprap on the side of our river.
Yeah, right. Those 2 fields we'll be able to get into next year. They'll be organic next year.
Nice.
So
those are yeah.
Yep.
You were able to acquire near neighboring land.
Yep.
Which is
Awesome.
That's the best.
Yeah, in both cases, in our rental ground and our purchase ground.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Then you can confidently say you're doing your part to preserve this part of the valley.
I mean,
farmland.
We definitely, within a year, within, I guess, maybe two years, got all the glyphosate out of this area. Which, I mean, because there's different ways of doing everything, and I don't want to say, like, people who use glyphosate are wrong. I mean, it's everybody's choice. But, I think we feel strongly about not using it.
Yep.
And our neighbors have made a point to be like, "Oh, thank God," kind of thing.
They're appreciative.
Like, no
that
more.
you're not.
Thank God, no more Roundup. It's like, I don't know. I try not to mind that kind of stuff too much. But yeah, I don't know. It's like the family aspect of it too. It's just like how they were growing corn for a long time, and
yep.
Don't want to be judgy. 1,000 ways to skin a cat, or however the saying goes.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to farm.
Yep, and we're certified organic, and I don't want to say that that's like a better way than any other way. So, we're all just trying to feed people at the end of the day. So, do you want to go check out the carrots are like just germinating. I don't even think you could see it by eye, but I don't know if your camera would be able to.
My camera's sharper than my eye.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, let's go look. We're going to get a couple more tractors this year.
Yeah.
But all stuff that's, pre-electronic.
Old tractors.
Yeah, pretty much. And the thing about having old stuff is you can't just have one old tractor.
Yeah.
You can have one new tractor and it might work fine. But if you have one old tractor and it breaks, you might be waiting on a few weeks just to get like a piece for it or something.
Yeah, right.
So, and the same thing with trucks. If you have one old truck, you're going to be walking at some point. There's no two ways about it. But new trucks break too.
Yeah.
So
you gotta have some redundancy.
you have to have redundancy. And what I'm finding, our redundancy sweet spot is like a bunch of stuff that I can tinker on myself. Yeah. Do you see the water issue? Yeah. So this is all carrots. We've moved from a 3-row to a 2-row setup, and the biggest reason for that is we're not bunching them, we're topping them and putting them into a bin.
Storage carrots.
Yeah, exactly. And the issue that we're running into is, you can barely see them.
Are they up?
They're just coming out of the ground. So I don't know if you see like these guys right here.
Yeah.
They just popped out. Yeah, it's not even really anything to look at. I flame weeded them, but then I got rained out of the second flame weeding that I would have liked to have done. But when we were doing 3-row, which I think 3-row is nice to make it look like the beds are super full.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you're bunching them, for whatever kind of sales you're doing in bunches, farmers market, CSA, whatever. It doesn't matter if the sizing is different in each row, but when you're mechanically harvesting and now you're doing one outside row and then the next pass you're doing the center row, the center is never as big as the 2 outside rows. Like across the board, and I've talked to other growers about this too, and they say the same thing. Like as soon as you get into mechanical harvesting, drop it to 2 rows, pretty much. And the problem with 3 rows is that when you start washing the center row, you can tell immediately when you get to that center row in the bin. It's like,
interesting.
You tip it at just a certain point, and now all the carrots are half the size. And it's like, what is going on here? You know, and then you're trying to grade for whatever.
Right, that's fine if you're doing a market bunch.
Exactly.
Because it's a variety, but
Exactly.
when you're selling by size.
Right. The consistency is key. And, you know, if all the carrots in the bag are roughly the same size, the customers are like, they're drawn to it, you know. And it's, you know.
Right or wrong,
Right or
we
wrong.
like uniformity.
Exactly.
We're no different than any
Yeah.
other consumer.
Yep.
So what'd you seed them with?
I've got a Jang. Oh, here's a.
Jang on a toolbar?
No, it's a 6-row 3-point hitch Jang.
Right.
Like it came on with its own setup. It's not like the individual ones on a toolbar.
Uh-huh.
So. But yeah, the flame weeding has worked great.
Yeah.
Really, the only thing that threw it off for this planting was the amount of rain. But you can see like where I didn't flame weed. So I'm only flame weeding like this spot right here.
Why aren't you doing the whole bed?
Because I have mechanical tools to do it, and
Okay.
I built the flame weeder myself, so it's not a full bed. It only has 3 torches for the 3 rows. And now that I'm only doing 2,
narrow.
yeah, it's actually a bunch of the backpack ones, you know, like the handheld ones, but I built it onto like a toolbar kind of thing. I actually got the idea off of YouTube. A guy made one for flame weeding direct seeded onions, which I was trying to get into for the longest time. But yeah, so the rest of it I can handle mechanically. It's just right where the carrots are. You know, obviously once they germinate, there's only so much you can do. But what I try to do is like 10 days or 2 weeks of minimal soil disturbance before I seed them.
Uh-huh.
So that I can get like all of these weeds, you know, are like primed, ready to go. And
Right.
the more soil disturbance you do, like the more weeds at different stages you kind of mix in, you know. So yeah, moldboard plowed, disc and you know, field cultivate harrow.
Yeah.
I set the beds up with a 3-point hitch like Williams tine rake. And I hit it maybe twice with the tine rake over the course of like a week, and then I seed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm-
Seed, then flame.
Seed, then flame, and now
cultivate.
next week I'll basket weed it.
Yeah.
Or I might even basket weed it, you know, Friday. I
Do
got
you wait till
emergence.
till they come up a little bit, or do you not really have to because your basket weeders are set up so as long as you stay in your wheel tracks? You know you're
Ideally,
good.
you would think that's how it would work, but I think until they break out of the ground, I think the basket weeder is still disturbing a little too much
yeah.
almost. So, and I found that if I just wait a little bit longer, I have way less, you know, mechanical blight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I try to wait till I'll wait a little bit longer because there's a lot still coming up, and I see this pretty thick. I actually made my own rollers for the Jang that work with like pretty much every seed that we do. Just to a certain extent, I just change the gearing to let more or less seed out, but I'm not constantly like switching the rollers out. So they work from like a beet, you know, down to like carrots, and all I'm doing is just adjusting the gearing. And it's really like I'm just swapping there's 2 gears. Like you have a Jang, right?
No.
Oh. Oh, well. Let me tell you how it works.
I'm familiar with
Yeah.
them, but I do not have one.
They
no.
run off of this chain system where you put like a certain amount of sprockets in the front and the rear that meters the it's like how fast this chain drive system works is dependent on these 2 gears.
Yeah.
And I run like a 14 and a 9, and then I just switch them back and forth. So it goes from like half an inch like density, I guess, to up to 2.5 inch density.
Okay.
So like 2.5 inches between seeds or 1/2 an inch. But really, like the way that I've made these rollers is just kind of letting out like a steady stream of seed. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. So they're not singulated by any means. You know, there's.
Did you come back and thin them out or not?
No, I don't need to, because I set it up. So I have a 24 hole roller set up on 2.5 inch spacing. And that gets me just like a most perfect little line of carrot seeds.
Good.
Yeah, it works great for me. The only thing is the middle row was screwing it all up, so drop that.
Took care of that problem.
Took care of that, yeah, that was easy. Yeah, actually the person that told me I was gonna have an issue with that was Paul Harlow. I showed him a picture because we were selling them dirty carrots actually, which was kind of a neat thing. We would just ship bins of dirty carrots to him. And they were like, this sizing is all over the place. Like, we're just not going to be able to wash these carrots because we're looking for this size, and if some of them come in and they're this big, we have to just get rid of them, which I totally understood. And this was through Vermont Way Foods, which was like the wholesaler trying to get, local Vermont grown stuff into grocery stores. So it was like a big kind of group effort sort of thing. We had this big concept, like we were going to sell them dirty, well, we were going to sell essentially Vermont Way Foods dirty carrots.
Yeah.
Harlow's was going to wash and bag them with their amazing new wash line. I don't know if you've seen it. It's incredible. No. And their staff of, I don't even know how many people, working on this stuff. For like $5 a case to wash and bag, which is awesome. Like way cheaper than I could do it. Well, obviously, when I'm doing it myself, I can do it cheaper than that.
Right.
I just won't pay myself. It's just that easy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can do it for that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you should.
Oh, here, let's walk down here quick. I got a little over an acre of peas for grain, because I'm gonna...
Peas for grain, huh?
Yeah, like for cover crop seed.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, yeah, look at that, peas.
Here they be. Yeah, so... I don't know, never grown them for grain.
Yeah, right.
I've done wheat and rye, but there's a little rye mixed in here, so we'll see what happens. Just put it in with the grain drill. That's all right.
Yeah.
It could be thicker. That's the first thing Becky Madden said. Yeah, I'd up that rate.
Thanks, Becky.
Aww.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I like seeing stuff in drills from the grain drill. It's cool.
Yeah.
Very, very. I mean, especially if there was less of this dock and.
Yeah, right.
But
that's aggressive.
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
A weed.
Yeah. Very aggressive. Yeah. You see the other one over there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking that we're just gonna kind of rotate these fields out for a year or two. After this, I'll put it in some sort of perennial cover, and hope to just cycle through. Maybe even do them like a fallow at some point.
This is right next to the river, right? So this is a flooded field?
Sometimes, yeah. Yep. That one over there on the other side of the road tends to flood more. So we really don't plant that one too much anymore. This one, you can get away with farming this one. In fact, this land grows fantastic carrots. Like honkers.
Not as many rocks in this patch.
No, yeah, this is Winooski fine silt loam. Most of the farm is Hadley silt loam. With little rock outcroppings from whatever many tens of thousands of years of river overflowing. But we're super fortunate for this kind of ground. Really, really fortunate. And no plow pan.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. We took whatever that tool is that you can stick in there. I don't know what it's called. Becky had it.
I know. I can't think of it right now.
The plow panometer.
Yeah, the compression meter.
Yeah. So, wow, it's going right all the way through. I'm like, sick. Yeah, unless you hit a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which NRCS must have hit a rock pretty much every time. They're like, yeah, you got a plow pan at 6 inches. I'm like, really? I don't know. And then Becky and her coworker Rachel, I believe, came out. Yeah, we just did soil samples last week. Hit all the valley land. We didn't get up to the mountain land that we rent, but yeah, that was interesting. I've never done so much soil sampling all at once. You know,
it takes a surprisingly long time.
Oh my God!
To go out, you know, you want to get at least half a dozen per plot or cores, and
yeah, I mean,
divide it out.
Well, there were 3 of us out. They had 2 of those probe, like the core samplers.
Yep.
And I had just a shovel, so it's a different technique to get it with a shovel. You have to like make a hole and then you take a shave off the outer edge of the hole. It took a long time. It took like 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours to do. What is this? So I guess it's about 70 something.
Yeah,
acres
right. You
down
covered
here.
a lot of ground and a lot of different soil types.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, well, surprisingly, it's mostly Hadley silt loam.
Yeah, that's the majority.
Yeah, the majority of it. We have a really high water table in the valley. So I'm hoping that all this rain is just filling it up, because I'm sure you've heard they're calling for a hot and dry summer from the Farmer's Almanac.
No, I haven't caught that one
yet.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. You're usually pretty spot on. Like last year, they said above average rainfall. Certainly got that.
Yeah.
The year before, they said the same thing.
Yeah, well, the last 2 years were wet, but then like the 3 years before that were really dry. So.
Right.
Next, we hop back into the truck and loop up and around over into the next field.
So what'd you seed into here?
Oats and peas.
Okay.
Yep.
This is some of your new ground?
This is rented. Yep, this is rental ground. So this is owned by the Short Hills Ski Club of New Jersey. And they have that house with the blue roof on it right there.
Because you don't grow corn.
I do not grow corn. That's not mine. Yeah, I just picked this up this spring.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I've been in talks with them for a couple of years. They couldn't let it go last year because the guy who grows corn already had everything purchased. So I didn't want to, shake things up too much. So yeah, whatever. I mean, we don't necessarily need it right off. Like, it's going to be great because we'll get into our new land next year. Then we'll get into this the following year.
Yeah.
So it's like a great, rotation progression anyway.
Gives you an opportunity to
build up some soil. Although, from what I understand, with corn on corn, the organic matter does build. Although I think that might be with grain corn, whereas this is silage corn. So I'm not. It'll be interesting to see what the soil tests say. But,
it will be because we do sweet corn, but then the stalks get flail mowed. Right. So there's a lot of biomass that stays there.
But with this, when you're taking
silage corn, you're taking the stalks.
Taking everything.
So
yeah, they did put down a good bit of manure. They do like the slurry.
Yeah. So
they spread it.
Yeah, if they're putting manure back on it, then that keeps it stable.
Right. Well, that and nitrogen. I'm pretty sure they put synthetic nitrogen on it. But yeah, we're a couple of years out from this being certified. So I was thinking we'll have to see what the split farm ends up looking like. But if I can get some grain off of here, because the like if we do oats or something, the oats themselves, if you leave all the straw, it's still like a benefit, even if you take the grain. From what I understand. Although that I have to look into a little bit more too.
That's still a lot of organic matter you're growing and leaving back on the field.
Yep. Yeah, so.
Yeah, unless you're bailing that off and
no,
straw, but
I thought about it, but I think it's just getting into another enterprise that's got its own set of challenges and
equipment to
breakdowns.
fix.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm gonna cheap it out and get a $600 baler, and it's gonna break immediately. And yeah, I know myself. That's like the great part about getting older. It's like okay, I'm just gonna pump the brakes on this one right now. There's a guy that I rent land off of that's got the whole hay set up, and if I ever do straw baling, I'm just gonna have him do it. And I asked him to do it like a year or two ago, and he goes, geez, I don't know. I'm gonna have to tweak the baler to. Yeah, of course, you're gonna have to set it a little differently. But yeah, I don't know. But you want to? We'll get the combine fired up.
Yeah, sure. Let's check that out.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much a one-man band, right?
I'm a one-man band. Yeah. I prefer it. And honestly, when I was working at that vegetable farm before Melissa and I started our own thing, she's like, "So what do you want your farming career to look like?" And I was like, well, from working here, I already know I don't want any employees because it was just like a constant fight. Not that I don't want employees. I just think that with the way that I was doing it, with the mixed vegetable, going to farmer's market kind of enterprise.
Yeah.
You're spinning so many plates that your employees aren't necessarily doing. So I'll put it this way: your employees will end up doing work that doesn't get paid for.
Right.
And it'll be stuff that you're trying to sell.
Right.
So it almost makes more sense for your employees to be working on like a wholesale operation. Like if you can do wholesale crops and you have like a really good enterprise budget, like the growers that sell like kale to Deep Root, they're doing like a pallet or something. Whereas if you're doing 30 bunches for farmer's market and you get, an employee out picking it, and nothing's very efficient because you're having to start and stop so many jobs throughout the day, it's tough. It's really tough. And when I finally realized that was when it was 2021 and we had lost our tomatoes essentially to leaf mold, which we hadn't had up until 2021. So friend of Melissa's, this woman Karen, working on tomatoes. That was all she did. We had a couple of greenhouses of them. She would trim, trellis, pick, put into pints and whatnot. She did it all. It was awesome. But the tomatoes died prematurely, and we were trying to, find where we could make the money back in all these other little, like radishes, bunch carrots, whatever. It was all for farmer's market. And we also had other employees. And I so quickly realized that the tomatoes for farmer's market was like carrying so much of the business. And we're not in a great tomato area, obviously. Like this weather is already, and I'm sure we could heat it and whatnot and just, run a real expensive tomato operation here. But it
wasn't a strength of the location or your interests per se.
Yeah.
It was meeting the market that you were at, but
exactly. But it just showed me so quickly that it all seems like it's a cohesive unit, this whole business that's working together to supply a farmer's market, a couple of farmer's markets with vegetables, when it was really like one of those enterprises out of all of it was carrying so much of it. And that season, I like barely got any sleep. I think that year took like years off my life. I was so stressed and just like unhappy with just everything. And it was such a challenge. Oh my God, it was such a challenge. And then the subsequent years were, they just kept getting more challenging at farmer's market. and like trying to run the same business, but you know, with that thought in the back of your head, like, if one of these crops goes, is this the crop that's carrying, you know, the whole thing? And you know, you can run budgets till you're blue in the face with farmers market, but it's so tough when you're like, I got to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and like you're jumping all over the place. And it's like you can't really track your hours when you're doing 5 different things in an hour.
Yeah.
You know, if you have one employee working on one thing all day, that's easy to, you know, to justify.
Right. If you're doing grain and you're doing vegetables and you're doing root crops, you can kind of keep track of things for grain or veggies or root crops.
Exactly.
But the difference between tomatoes or kale or leeks or all the little like it's
when you're
hard to
bringing
separate.
30 things to farmers market or whatever, 20 20 things, it's like, I have so much respect for people who can juggle all that, because it's not me. It's never going to be me. It was like, you know, the square peg in a round hole.
Like you said when you started, that's not exactly what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
You wanted to be a tractor farm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You wanted to do grain.
I wanted to do grain.
It just didn't pencil out, so to speak, right off the bat with the land that you've got.
The way we're going about it now pencils out only because so much of it is going into like the closed loop aspect. I think if we wanted to get out of doing any vegetable farming and just do grain,
yeah, right, that still doesn't
I need
work,
another job. Yeah.
But wholesale roots.
Wholesale roots carries it.
Yeah.
And it's easy when you're only doing 4 different types of roots. You know, I'm doing 5. I'm doing 3 different types of potatoes, and then orange and rainbow carrots. That's like the majority of it. I'm doing a little cilantro and dill. It doesn't tip the scale.
But you're not pruning tomatoes, and you're not washing salad mix.
No,
and
exactly.
All this other stuff.
Yeah. And if I were doing that, I would make sure it's on a big enough scale where, you know, it's not like it just, I find things that are on a bigger scale are easier to track. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm sure somebody's probably going to hear this and be like, oh, what's this guy talking about? He don't know what he's doing. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's just me. And it takes all types. So, I mean,
absolutely.
Good for people who can juggle all that. Speaking of strengths and interests, we say we fire up this combine and let that...
Yeah, sure.
That turbo whistle. I'm like addicted to the sound of this engine. Hopefully it starts.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a cold day in May. It's not combine weather.
Yeah.
That's quiet compared to your truck.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we got for a buddy seat.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What year is this?
It's an 81.
Yeah. Well, we're moving.
A little bit.
81, 3-row with a corn head right now, but you don't do any corn, so that's not.
Nope. We don't have to move very far.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, the guy still has the grain head, but this is the head that fit on the tractor trailer.
Oh.
So the other head is as big as I got an 18-foot equipment trailer.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna go back and get that.
Yeah. South Jersey.
Oof. Yeah, it's a trip.
Yeah, but I looked for combines around here for quite a while.
Yeah.
And the quality that you can get in like grain growing areas, even when you factor in shipping costs, you're still like way ahead. Like for the same price. So this machine with 2 heads was $8,500, which I think is pretty good deal.
This whole machine with both heads was less than 10 grand?
Yeah. Shipping was $3 grand. So I was looking at machines within like an hour or so of here, which still would have required a tractor trailer unless I drove it.
Yeah.
Which people do.
Which is possible, yeah.
Which, and I told Melissa, I was like, I might have to drive this thing from New York State. And she's like, get out of here. You're not driving the combine over the road like that.
You're going to follow me with a hazard.
Yeah. So a machine with a nearly blown engine was 11.5.
Ah.
Like what? And that was all that I could find. There was one that it was consuming coolant.
Aye.
It's like, buddy,
red flag.
He's like, yo, my mechanic said it'll be fine for a couple more years until I get it, and then it blows up.
Yeah.
Which is, Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice machine. I really dig it. Pretty much everything works.
That's important.
Yeah. So this machine was...
doesn't have to be perfect, but functional.
It's just got to be perfect for me. Yeah. You're supposed to run this thing like wide open.
Really?
Like jam that thing into the rabbit.
Huh.
But check this out. Pull to stop engine. Haven't seen that since the 80s.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when this thing came off the trailer, this was broken, this wire that leads to this electronic, not electronic, this electric lift pump. So I was able to, I fixed it, but that was disconnected. So I got it off the trailer, parked it up at the house, unloaded whatever was left on the trailer, and then went to get back in it and start it up, and it was just cranking. Like it wouldn't fire up again.
Oh no.
It's like, oh no. It's like, why couldn't it do this at the guy's house when I looked at it?
Yeah.
So it took a little tinkering around, but what's nice about this old stuff is you're never gonna have to get John Deere to come out and like hook a scanner to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, what are you gonna scan?
Yeah.
It's all mechanical.
Yeah.
So that's more my speed though. I understand from both sides. I just think that mechanical stuff is usually like you replace the mechanical stuff with electronics.
You're chasing
like diodes and stuff, and they go bad, and then you put a new one on, and then that one goes bad, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, this will be fun.
But I got the service manual, all the stuff I'm gonna need. I got a bunch of new belts.
So now's a good time to read up on it, get familiar with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I did hear a quote recently. It was like, they don't break while they're parked in the barnyard. So
I just heard that too in an audio book, and they're like, the tractor doesn't break unless you're using it.
Right, exactly.
Like, yeah, that's true.
There's only so much you can do. Like, yeah, you change the oil and stuff, but like if it hasn't broken right now, not a whole lot you can do to it to break it ahead of time.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately. But yeah, this is the 4066M. Great machine. I got almost 1,600 hours on it.
Yeah.
And
you bought it new, right?
I bought it brand new. Yeah, probably the last time I'll ever do that. Yeah.
Brand new is not common on this farm.
Nope. I did see the value in having one machine with a warranty on it, just like to be able to sleep at night. But I think what I'm going to go with going forward are like the, maybe like Farmall M's or whatchamacallit, like the 2-cylinder John Deeres, the old ones.
Yeah.
And have one that's nice and modern with hydrostatic transmission. This is I will say, this size with this engine transmission, this is a fantastic chore tractor. This is a great everyday tractor. Keep the rats out of the ECU, and this thing is fantastic.
Keep the rats out of anything.
Yeah. But I do have these in here. I'm just like I'm a little scared to put them back on here, and
the side panels?
just to keep a little more airflow so like the rats don't feel like they have a safe space to
make
hide.
it feel like home.
Yeah. But it's back behind this panel is where they, and I, when that happened, when I lost the throttle, I opened this and there was a rat in there staring at me. I was on the phone with Melissa. And I was like, oh, there's a rat in here. And I saw it running and I tried to chase after it. And Melissa hung up on me. She's like, you're stressing me out. Like, what do you think? How do you think I feel?
Yeah. How's visibility with the forks?
It's all right. Gets the job done. I don't know. I feel like
forks are always hard.
The forks are tough on a machine like this, and it's still under warranty, so I don't dare mess with the seat sensor on it. Because like I know people.
But if you, yeah, you're right. If you stand up and
it'll stop.
Yeah.
Which I don't love.
But yeah, when you're doing forks, you kind of got to stand up.
Hey, I got another 400 hours, and this thing will be out of warranty, and then I will immediately undo that seat sensor. But honestly, it's been great. There really haven't been a whole lot of issues. I had to do this tube last week, which, start to finish, I looked down and the tire's almost flat. I was doing some tillage in the one field. Noticed it was flat. What's great about having the loader is you just put the loader on the ground, pick it up, zip the wheel off. I brought it back here, took the old tube out. I had a new one on the shelf already. Put a new tube in, back to work in 40 minutes, which is great. I mean, that's part of the beauty of like being willing to tinker on stuff is like your downtime. If I had to bring this to a shop, like I wouldn't have been able to get back into the tillage that day.
Right.
Realistically, it was like 3:30 in the afternoon. So.
But otherwise, you almost 2,000 hours and really hasn't needed anything.
No, I service it every 400 hours.
Yeah.
I do everything. Front, whatever they call it, MFWD, right? The front axle. I do the front axle fluid change, hydraulic fluid, oil filter, fuel filter. I don't do the air filter every year. I just blow it out. But I did buy a new one last year, and it looks fantastic still.
Yeah.
So.
Is it pretty easy to do those routine things on this one?
This is I was able to do most of that stuff within an hour and a half.
Nice.
Yeah. The longest thing was just waiting for all the fluid to come out of the the final drives down there.
Yeah.
Or whatever they call it on. I think those are called final drives. This hub assembly.
Yeah.
Because the port is like at the bottom here. But yeah, love this thing. It's great. Runs a carrot harvester, runs a potato harvester. Honestly, I want to get a couple of old tractors just to give this thing some relief. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this will still be probably like the number one.
How long have you had? How many years old is this one?
2018. No, 2019 I got it.
Okay,
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm gonna, since I need to paint the wash line as well, I'm gonna touch up all the little spots.
Yeah.
Because that's John Deere green too.
Yeah.
But yeah, this thing's great. I really highly recommend this model in particular.
Yeah.
I think if you got it, you'd be real happy with it.
Well, to wrap up, a few follow-up questions here on my podcast. I always ask people, what does sustainable farming mean to you?
Oof.
And what are you doing to achieve it?
Well, sustainable for me, to me it's almost the same thing as like resiliency. It's like you're able to do it year after year with minimal impact to environment, finances play a part in it. Can I do this year after year and not dig a hole for myself, I guess. And so some things that we're doing for that are, I have been talking with our agronomist about how to get out of buying fertilizer. So we are super focused on cover cropping. I think we may just lack in like the P and K side. Nitrogen is easy with cover crops. So we might start incorporating more like wood ash and stuff like that into the rotation. Some other things are, and this is tough in farming. The wish list groweth. And it's like, how do you train yourself to leave well enough alone, you know? Do you have enough? Would you really benefit from another loan or another 30 grand in the hole in equipment? Could you do it with where you're at? And just letting it be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, you know, you don't have to have this stuff if all you're worried about is, did I do a good job, and do I get to spend some time with my family? You know what I mean? If you're getting stuff because you're, you know, like the keeping up with the Joneses thing, and you know, this is like our caveman brain. Like we're wired to think like, oh, if I don't have what my, you know, not even neighbor, I mean, like we're on two different ends of the agriculture spectrum, but like if I don't have what somebody that's doing my same enterprise has, like what does that mean about me? You know what I mean? Like that, just not letting things get so existential, I guess. Yeah, just like, and it's like comparison is the thief of joy kind of thing. So that to me is sustainability.
Where did you learn how to farm?
A lot of reading. I worked on a vegetable farm, but they were doing an okay job, but it was a place to learn what not to do, which is sometimes just as important as learning what to do. A lot of research. Have you heard the term YouTube University?
Oh yeah.
Oh, big time into YouTube. Honestly, everything I learned about cultivation, I learned from somebody that does like the University of Iowa mechanical cultivation webinar. I forget what it exactly was, but it was like, pick a spacing. You know, doesn't matter what it is, but don't have every single crop you're doing be at a different spacing. You know, if it's going to be 3 rows, make them 3 rows at 15 inches. Don't do some at 4 inches and some at 16. You know, do them all at 15. Have all of your equipment ready to go. You know, all of the cultivation stuff. You can hop on every tractor and not adjust anything and just hit the field. So, yeah, I would say, and a lot of like what you guys are doing, you know, UVM has been just an awesome resource. Yeah, a lot of like listserv, you know, Veg and Berry listserv, learned a lot off of there. I think that we are in an interesting career field where I don't think any of us will ever know everything there is to know about agriculture. So I think to say, if you knew, like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, you say like, where did I learn? I don't think I've learned it all. I'm learning every day, and I will be the first to admit that I could probably do things better. I could have learned more. But, you know, there's something to be said about doing the job and not learning about it before. I mean, you need to learn about it before you do it. But there was this thing I read that was talking about, it was like a project in a college. A professor it was a photography class. A professor took half the students and said, you are going to be judged based on the quantity of pictures, and you guys are going to be judged based on the quality of your pictures. And the only way to get a passing score was to take at least 100 pictures from the quantity side or one great picture from the quality side. And what had happened was the ones who were focused on quantity did way more practice and took a much better final picture than the quality-based students, because they were fixated on getting the perfect shot. They were researching it. They're racking their brain. What's this thing to get a picture of? While not practicing. So, like we said, there's like 100 different ways to do everything. I think that you could work for somebody to learn, and they could have taught you all the wrong things, and you may not have known it unless you went to like 10 different farms to work.
Right.
But I think the thing to do is, if you have an inkling that you want to do it, I think one season is good, and then just jump in, I think. And, it's going to be tough financially. You're going to make a lot of mistakes.
It's the practice.
How do you get away from it?
Yeah, and it's all a unique situation.
Yeah.
I mean, you can read about or talk to somebody else who's harvesting field peas for cover crops, but only the fundamentals is going to be beneficial to your situation in an 80 some odd combine to go out to do your couple acres of peas.
In a flood-prone field, and these guys are in Washington State or wherever with the relevant information. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe that's not the right way to look at it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with learning while you are, working a different job too. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I have a sense of what you'll say, but what are you most excited about in your next year of farming life?
Ooh. Having a kid. Honestly, I'm so stoked. I'm so excited. I don't know. Dialing it in. Running a combine like this myself for the first time. Getting that potato attachment for the carrot harvester. That'll be cool.
Yeah, you got a lot of fun things to look forward to this year.
I mean, man, what a blessing. What a great time. I mean, we just turned 35. Not last weekend, but the weekend before. So, it's, I don't know, just feeling grateful. And it's not that it comes without, financial stress and stuff like that. Like, yeah, sure. It's always going to be tough. It's a tough industry. There's the profit margins are awful. You got to do it because you love it. But yeah, definitely a kid. It's a little boy too.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah. So I would have been fine with either.
Yeah.
As long as they're healthy.
Right.
So now it's shifted my focus. Like, do I get a Farmall M that doesn't have a buddy seat? And then I'm like, yeah.
You can strap a car seat to the toolbar.
Exactly. Yeah, right on the hood. Yeah, it's gonna be a little hot today. No.
Tillmore needs to make a car seat mount.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Then I'll buy one brand new. Yeah.
With an umbrella clamp.
Right. Yeah.
What fulfills you in this career? You talked about passion, and you're glad you're not into roofing, but
only for the passion end. The money, oof, the money's great in roofing. I like looking out at a big old field. I don't know what it is. Like a big planting of carrots. Oh, love looking at it. I don't know. It's so odd. It's so like, we talked about the caveman brain. It's such like a, I don't even know. I don't know what it is about it. But yeah, just looking at a big field, especially when, like I'm, running the baskets on the G, and not just doing a bed, doing like a couple of hours out on that thing. There's just something about the amount that you're doing that really, yeah, that's like what gets me going.
When you're out there cultivating for a couple hours, or you got headphones in listening to something,
yeah.
or are you listening to the birds and the wind?
I'm always listening to the ag engineering podcast. I actually do, but I listen to, boy, I'm all over the place. I had a buddy in high school that said, if you only listen to one genre of music, it gets so boring. And I think about that every time I listen to music. I'm like, I gotta switch it around constantly. So my go-to for like, maybe not mindless work, but if I don't want to be totally focused on what I'm listening to, I really like lo-fi, like like instrumental. I listen to a lot of death metal. Rap, I listen to a lot of rap. 90s country. Yeah. I'm pretty much only listening to stuff on those headphones, the noise canceling headphones, which are amazing. They're like Sony something noise canceling. They've got buttons on it, so you can just like.
Are they earmuffs?
They're
Or like headphones.
They are like noise canceling earmuffs, but Bluetooth.
Okay. Yep.
So
nice.
yeah, I can't listen to radio, but I got Spotify.
Yeah.
So, and then podcasts. I like to listen to podcasts too quite a bit. Yeah, and the genres are all over the place. Julia Louis-Dreyfus has a, or wait, is that her name? Yeah, from Seinfeld. Elaine from Seinfeld. She's got a really good podcast. This one was like her interviewing Jane Goodall. I was like, man, I haven't done anything in life compared to Jane Goodall. Yeah, but yeah, all over the place. Yeah, definitely listen to yours a lot. You know, I listen to every episode pretty much.
You mentioned earlier about like a positive thinking. So is there any quotes or mantras that you've got or you've been referencing lately?
Man, one that I just heard, and it kind of like, it's kind of one of those things where it affirms something that you're already feeling. So I don't know if this counts so much, but it was like the something like joy doesn't come from having more things. It comes from having less things. And I think it's not just on like the gear end, it's more like, you know, how many plates are you spinning at once kind of thing. And when I was doing farmers market, you had to spin a lot of plates, you know, all the time. And almost to your detriment, like if you weren't, people wouldn't come to your stand as much. So it was like you were incentivized to be doing way more than you really should manage at once. But like, what's the option? So it's nice to, you know, I do a few plantings a year. I've got the carrots down to two plantings. You know, if something happens with the first planting, I'll replant, but I won't plan to replant.
Yeah.
You know, I'll do this spring planting, and then I'll do another one in July, late June, July. And I'll plant it all at once because I don't need the tops to be at, you know, these different stages so that I can bunch them for farmers market. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
right. Yeah, you don't need the succession
I don't
so
need
much.
I don't need successions. Yeah, so put all the potatoes in all at once. Carrots, you know, over 2 plantings, so I have summer and winter storage carrots. Yeah. I'm doing a couple other things, like I'd like that daikon radish trial. You know, that was at a different timing, but yeah. I think I'm gonna do some beets this year. But still, it's like I'm spinning way less plates, so yeah, it's like I'm doing less and it feels more joyful, I guess.
It's been over 10 years since you started farming now.
Yep.
Is this what you thought it would be when you were starting? Like, is this what you envisioned, or is it in a completely different place?
Oh, it's in a completely different place.
Yeah.
The only reason that I started farming ourselves like the second year after, so I worked for somebody, and then the following year I started on our own. That following year I was gonna work for a guy who did like 1,500 acres of corn and beans, because that's what I wanted to get into. So I found a connection through the vegetable farm I was working at, and this guy was like, "Oh yeah, I need another, odd tractor driver, combine, well, they call it a grain cart."
Oh yeah.
Grain cart driver. But he died in like a farming accident.
Ooh.
Yeah, like unloading fertilizer. Yeah. And then, so, yeah, not to get too morbid,
Yeah.
but that changed the whole trajectory. Because I think if I would have done that, I would have maybe tried to find a way to get right into corn and beans.
Yeah.
And probably just would have worked at like a, maybe pulling wrenches or something like that.
Right.
Doing something on, because you can't do corn and beans full time. It's just,
Right.
The margins are too slim, too volatile. You're not setting the price. You're just taking whatever you get when you drop them off. It's very expensive. Yeah, so I think that, as much of it as is a tragedy, it pushed us to this direction. And I'm making this as close to what I was envisioning. But obviously, it's never going to be exactly what you think when you get in. I don't think anything is.
No.
Like, even if you go to school and you go for this career and then you get out, I don't think even that.
Yeah, but
ends up-
when you started farming, it wasn't like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to be a vegetable farmer. You
Right,
were
right.
thinking grain.
Right.
And even when you started growing vegetable farmers, it wasn't your envision to
No.
necessarily be like, I'm going to grow carrots and potatoes.
No. I think my goal was always to do what I could with machines, because I'm a gearhead,
Yeah.
and I don't mind working on stuff. I like tinkering. The carrots lend themselves to machine harvesting pretty well. I mean, they make a machine to do it.
Yeah, right.
Potatoes, they make a machine to do it. And there are other things that I could diversify into with those machines,
Yep.
but it was really like the focus to stop picking things so individually by hand. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like managing more acreage, obviously, but bigger plantings at once. But that's like we were talking about earlier. That's just like kind of how my mind is. I don't think there's two right ways to go about this industry. This is just, what I can speak to. This is how I make sense of it. But I think for me, sitting in a seat, picking 10, 15,000 pounds of carrots in a day sounds a lot more appealing than, I can do 1,000 by hand in a day. Maybe I did more than that.
Still. Yeah.
But
no,
still,
The economies
yeah.
of scale with equipment is...
The economy of scale, yeah. Yep.
So do you have a vision for the next 10 years? You're just kind of rolling with how things are going year to time?
We're going to grow quite a bit bigger next year. I think it's just getting systems dialed in. Maybe a couple of niceties, but I think for equipment-wise,
Yeah,
we
equipment and crop-wise.
crop-wise, I think we're in a pretty good spot. A couple more tractors would be nice. Not another one of these, though. I mean,
Yeah.
this thing's great, but I think to have two, I think we'd need to have a lot more land in production.
If you could restart now, knowing what you know, either what would you do differently, or what advice would you have to a young farmer now?
Advice. Don't take advice. Forget who said that. No one's going to be able to tell you exactly what is going to be
Don't
right
take
for you.
advice from somebody who isn't doing it themselves. That's the
Yeah.
important thing.
Well, and then the other thing is don't take advice from somebody who isn't where you want to be.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I would take advice from me. What could I do differently? Honestly, I thought about this like a couple of months ago, and I don't think there was a way to do this differently. It's gonna take 8-10 years And, people are being more forthcoming about that now. It's a grind, and there's some sleepless nights. And I think it's like the rite of passage, and everybody kind of has to go through it. And but really, advice would be like, find someone who is doing as close to what you want to do, and don't emulate them, but look to what they're doing as like a source of inspiration. And I definitely have people that I look to for inspiration. There's, like, I don't want to drop any names, but a few in Vermont, a couple in Maine. Yeah, I don't know. Being able to learn from everybody, but understanding that you're going to have to do it differently. Because unless your farm is, their next door neighbor, there's not a whole lot that transfers, especially in Vermont. But even, more like homogeneous states too, like ones that are where the climate is the same, from the eastern end to the western end. We're not in that boat here, for sure. I mean, this is part of Addison County, and you talk to people from Middlebury, and they're like, "Where are you from?"
Really? This is Addison County?
Well, they're like, Granville, New York. I was like, no, Granville, we're part of Addison County. Yeah, and they have no idea, because it's so different.
It's over the mountain.
It's over the mountain.
What do you do outside of farming that brings you joy? Or how do you disconnect?
I do dig farming, so it takes up a lot of my mental space. I'm a gearhead, so they're all Melissas, but we've got a bunch of old Volkswagens, so I keep myself pretty busy tinkering with them. We've got a 1973 Squareback that I just converted from fuel injection to carburetor, and hoping to be able to take that out in the next couple of weeks to one of the local cars and coffee meets, which I've been looking. Every time I go past, it's like Saturday morning from 8 to 12 or something. Every time I go past, I'm like, one of these years, I'm going to be out there with these 70-year-old guys in their Corvettes. It's going to be me in like pants with like a crotch hole rip in them. So that I play bass. So I've been getting into doing that more. I'm trying to learn a bunch of ska songs, like Mighty Mighty Boss Tones and who else? Streetlight Manifesto, that kind of stuff. I don't know if you ever heard. Ska is like sort of like Sublime, but with like horns and saxophone and stuff like that.
Oh, I'll have to look
It's
them
pretty
up.
neat, yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you wanted to share that we didn't talk about?
Boy, I feel like we covered it all, haven't we?
Yeah, we talked about a lot, yeah.
I would say get off social media. We did, and honestly, it feels great. And there's a little bit of like local farmer connection that we might be missing.
From a business standpoint or from a personal standpoint?
There's no business standpoint to have your farm on social media. From what I'm seeing, anyway, and this could be different if you're in like a close to a city, and you're getting a lot of engagement from the local community, but take a good long look at the likes on each post, and I guarantee you there are like 75% other farms liking your stuff. And you can't put a dollar figure on that. That's just you being connected to your community. And so I would say that it's better to, call or text your, the local farmers you want to jive with. I don't think that you guys, well, not you guys, but like farms in general, and we were doing this too. You're taking like the perfect pick for the gram, and it's not representative of what your business and your farm looks like. This is like what you've curated to put out to the world, which, yeah, I mean, that might make me be like, oh man, their carrots are so much cleaner. I got to get out there and, there might be a benefit like that, like it's kicking me into gear, lighting a fire under me. But I think for a lot of it, it's just like the comparison thing. It's like you're just comparing yourself. And there was this is a quote that I like. It's something to the effect of, You can't count other people's money, which means like not like I can't go into your wallet and like count out the bills. It's like you don't know the backstory of any of this. You don't know if they don't have money, if they've got a lot of money, where's it coming from, who's paying for this or that. So to think that you're gonna know how all this is happening by looking at this curated picture on Instagram, it's just not reality. And you can't compare yourself to that. And I found that as soon as we got off of social media, yeah, there's a few people that I used to talk to a lot on Instagram and I don't anymore. And for those reasons, like every once in a while, I ask Melissa to sign on so I can get on, like message some people. But, you know, everyone's pretty understanding that. I don't know if social media has been the benefit to like our society that we try to think it is.
From a business standpoint, do you think it was helpful when you were going to farmers markets versus now? You're right, you're a wholesale veg farmer.
It wasn't helpful.
Your customers aren't there, but do you think it was helpful back then?
It wasn't.
No,
because it was all other farms liking our stuff, which, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that the benefit is in the ag community, but it's not necessarily in getting customers. Like, I don't know if I could even tell you if I've made money on Instagram.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure I might be in the minority. I might not be, but I might also be in the minority. And this is part of like taking my advice. Don't take my advice. Like I'm like, you know, I could be way out of left field, but I think that other people that I've talked to kind of share the same sentiment, which is like, you know, you're gonna like other farm stuff if you're a farm because that's the kind of stuff you're looking for. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not like you need to separate that from gaining and retaining customers. So like we sell everything to grocery stores now, and they are not going on our label and finding our like, you know, website and messaging us. And we do have a website, and like I edited it this morning actually. I like changed some pictures around. And of course we pull it up on the phone and like one of the pictures is turn 90 degrees the wrong direction. Boy, I could have sworn that I edited that. But yeah, I don't know. I think we as a society thought that with the internet, it was like we have all this information at our fingertips. And then we, you know, argue about politics on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. It's definitely helped my stress level for sure.
Well, that right there is a
that's the
reason to get
benefit
off.
for me. Yeah.
Your own mental health.
Right. And like anytime that I had a few minutes, I'd just be like, you know, face buried in the thing, just scrolling away. And I don't know, just trying to be more intentional with my time.
What helped you break that addiction? We'll call
Deleting it.
Just cold.
Cold turkey. Out of here. Yeah, my dad's a big proponent in the cold turkey method. He smoked from when he was like 12 to, I don't know, 50 or something like that. One day he's just like, that's it. I'm not smoking anymore. And I don't know, seeing somebody do something like that, you know, that helped me. It's like, this isn't that big a deal. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely for stress. I think that was the big reason. I was just comparing myself to a standard that I didn't quite know the backstory of, and I was judging myself against it, and I didn't think that was healthy. So.
And that was the Farmer's Share. I hope you enjoyed this episode with John Hirsch of Clearfield Farm. The Farmer's Share is supported by a grant offered by the USDA Specialty Crop Block Program from the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food, and Markets. This funding helps to cover some of my time and travel in order to produce this podcast until March of 2026. The USDA Agricultural Marketing Service supports projects that address the needs of U.S. specialty crop growers and strengthens local and regional food systems. I have no doubt that this podcast will meet those needs and help educate growers to support the industry. If you enjoy this show and want to help support its programming, you can make a one-time or reoccurring donation on our website by visiting thefarmershare.com/support. This show is also supported by the Ag Engineering Program of the University of Vermont Extension. We also receive funding from the Vermont Vegetable and Berry Growers Association. The VVBGA is a nonprofit organization funded in 1976 to promote the economic, environmental, and social sustainability of vegetable and berry farming in Vermont. Their membership includes over 400 farms across Vermont and beyond, as well as about 50 businesses and organizations that provide products and services of all types to their members. Benefits to members include access to the VVBGA listserv to buy, sell plants and equipment, share farming information, and tap the vast experience of our growers. Access the Community Accreditation for Produce Safety, also known as CAPS. This program is designed for growers, by growers, to help you easily meet market and regulatory food safety expectations. You can access the VVBGA's Soil Health Platform, where you can organize all the soil tests and create and store your soil amendment plans and records. Access to webinars for growers in the VVBGA annual meeting, an email subscription to the Vermont Vegetable and Berry newsletter, camaraderie, enhanced communication, and fellowship among commercial growers. Memberships are on a per farm, per calendar year basis, and annual dues this year are $80. These funds pay for the organization's operating costs and support educational programs and research projects. These funds also support projects that address grower needs around ag engineering, high tunnel production, pest management, pollinators, produce safety, and soil health. Become a member today to be a part of and further support the veg and berry industry. You can visit thefarmershare.com to listen to previous interviews or see photos, videos, or links discussed from the conversation. If you don't want to miss the next episode, enter your email address on our website and you'll get a note in your inbox when the next one comes out. The Farmer's Share has a YouTube channel with videos from several of the farm visits. We're also on Instagram, and that's where you can be reminded about the latest episode or see photos from the visit. Lastly, if you're enjoying the show, I'd love it if you could write a review. In Apple Podcasts, just click on the show, scroll down to the bottom, and there you can leave 5 stars and a comment to help encourage new listeners to tune in. I'd also encourage you to share this episode with other grower friends or crew who you think would be inspiring for them. Thanks for listening.